So what do you do if a client has been cleared to exercise, bad things have been ruled out, and they experience pain? And every time they experience pain or they have a flare-up, they blame their structure and only their structure. So they're only blaming the bone on bone. They're only blaming the herniated disc, the meniscus tear, degenerative disc disease, and they're not looking at other things that could be influencing their pain. So what I'm going to show you is what I take those clients through who keep blaming just their structural diagnosis. And what I hope to do with this Venn diagram when I take my clients through is, one, getting them to stop blaming just their structure. Two, I hope it gives people a little bit of help, because a lot of people have been really paying attention to their structure and they've gone through all these clinicians to work on their structure, to work on their spine. And what I hope this diagram does is it gives them a little bit of hope of other things that they could do that could influence the amount of pain they experience or how often they flare up. And then the other thing is give people a little bit of ownership, and it has worked. As I'm taking someone through it, usually it's like situational stressors or situations like holidays where they start to point out the things of like, oh yeah, I've been drinking every single day because it's the holidays, or yes, my food's been so bad recently because it's burger week. So they start seeing the correlation. So I hope it gives them a little bit of hope, but then also allows them to take some ownership on the things that they could be doing versus just blaming their bone on bone or their herniated disc or bulging disc. So here's what I'll do. So what I'll do is I'll draw 2 circles, and then I will ask the client, do you have good days? Do you have days where you don't really have pain or it's very minimal compared to what you usually experience? And the stories usually stay pretty similar. So a lot of people will say on the weekends their pain is either decreased a lot or not there at all. We have a lot of clients who've said when they go on vacation, that's when their pain goes away. So what I'll do is I'll write up here, okay, like the good days, let's say the weekend. So on the weekends, that's when pain is less. And then I'll write bad days. Then I'll say, what we need to figure out is what you're doing on the good days that are getting you these good days, and how to get you more of this, because it's obviously possible for you to get there. I mean, you just told me that you don't have pain on the weekends. So what can we do to get you more of this and less of this? But the thing that never changes is, and I'll write whatever it is, bone on bone, knee, or your bulging disc. Like on the weekends, your bone on bone that doesn't automatically just grow back and that's why you don't have pain. It stays the same. So between these two opposites, your structure doesn't really change. So what that tells us is, yes, this could influence the amount of pain you're having, but it tells us that other things in your life could be influencing it even more than just this. So usually when it's the whole weekend thing, when they're not working, I'll usually start with that. So I'll start, and I have stress management all the way down here. Like the way you manage stress can really influence and help you with your pain levels. And then I'll write the opposite over here. So then we start going down the list, and I will modify it depending on whoever I'm talking to. Maybe I want to keep it super simple. Maybe I want to go through the whole list as a whole so they can get the big picture. So it really depends on who I'm talking to. So I'll show you some of the stuff that I have on here. So I have good sleep. And for a lot of these things, as a coach and as in our gym at Enhancing Life, we either have good resources to help the person go beyond or start working on these things, or we have a workshop coming up focusing on these things, or we have or we're working on some type of protocol to get them to work on these things. But you're going to hear me go down this list and you're going to see, wow, a lot of these things are actually in a personal trainer's wheelhouse, which tells you or really shows you a role that personal trainers can take with someone who has chronic pain or persistent pain, because it's not just about the structure. Personal trainers can really do a lot here. So let's start with the first one, sleep. Can you get your clients to work on their sleep? Yes. Can you show them good sleep resources? Talk to them about blue blocking glasses. Talk to them about getting sun in the morning. Talk to them about exercising in the morning versus at 10 p.m. at night. Yes, for sure. And sleep definitely can influence the amount of pain. Then we have fitness levels. So like if I'm taking the client through, usually they're fairly new. So I'll go down to fitness levels and I'll say, look, Anna, you are still doing assisted squats. We haven't taught you how to deadlift. So you're getting there. You've already improved so much, but we still have to work on increasing your fitness and getting you strong, because that can make a huge influence on the amount of pain you experience. And then we go down to like movement options. That's where the breathing exercises come in. So being able to move in different ranges of motion. And then I'll point out how the breathing exercises can help with that because of the table test. And then again, explain to them how they're already improving in that aspect. So I'm also telling them like they're on their way by doing all the stuff that we do at Enhancing Life. They're on their way to having more good days than bad days. And the next one is cardio. So, hey, Anna, are you able to get on this treadmill for 45 minutes straight on an incline? And usually it's no. The answer is no. So I'll say something like, and you went from 5 minutes to 15 minutes and you're already improving so much, but there's still some improvement left to be done when it comes to cardio. And here is a good one. If the client has been experiencing persistent, especially like I've noticed a lot of people with like back pain, they understand or they have some idea that maybe their back pain is not their structure, because maybe they've gone to a pain doctor and the pain doctor has tried to explain to them that it's their nervous system and they know about nerves. So they have some type of understanding that their pain is due to nerve sensitivity. So if that person is, and if that's the case for the person you're trying to take them through this, cardio is a really good way, because you can say, you know, Anna, and nerves love three things. They love movement, they love space, and they love blood flow. And you know, that's one of the best things for that is cardio. So you can modify it depending on who you're talking to. And the other one is the 10,000 steps. It's hard to believe that people walk less than 10,000 steps a day. I get between 15 to 25,000. But people do. Some people are getting 2,000 steps a day. That means they're not moving throughout the day. Body wants movement. I mean, you can even connect it back to the cardio and the nerves and the movement and the blood flow. So do you even get 10,000 steps a day? Probably not. And then the next one is confident. So people's pain levels can really be influenced by their perception of themselves. And if they're blaming their structure every time they do a certain exercise or every time they push themselves at a certain level, well, if they feel like their body is not capable of doing that, then their pain levels might be going up just because of those thoughts alone. So are they confident in their own body? And then beliefs kind of goes with that. Someone's perception of themselves can have a huge impact on how many good days and bad days they have. And then social connection. I'm not going to go into it with this video. I am writing an article on it, but as personal trainers, as coaches, you can give your clients that. If you have a gym where people are working out or multiple people are working out at the same time, like get those people interacting together, give people social connection, because that too can influence how many good days and bad days someone may have. And then I talked about this one at first, it's the stress management. And usually that's the one I start with, just because no one can manage their stress and they have no idea that that could be impacting how many good days and bad days they have. So that is what I take people through when they're only blaming their structural diagnosis. So I don't always go through the whole entire thing. Sometimes it's situational, like the holidays, and then they start seeing like, oh yeah, I've been drinking every single day, or I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks and I haven't been able to sleep in my own bed. I haven't worked out. I haven't done any of my breathing exercises. I don't do my cardio. Okay, now I'm starting to see why my back hurts a little more. It might not just be my bulging disc that I was diagnosed with 10 years ago. So you can modify it depending on who you're talking to. And then the other thing that you can kind of use this for, instead of the good days and bad days and then the structure, is you can kind of change it around and talk about what is influencing the chances of you flaring up. And this is a good one to take someone through if they are blaming a certain move or a certain exercise constantly. And I will throw my mom under the bus because she's the one that really needed to listen to this. She, in December, she's always blamed deadlifts. She's always been scared of deadlifts. And My mom deals with some beliefs of fragility due to many clinicians telling her certain things for like the last 25, 35 years. So if she believes that her body can go completely out of whack, ribs go out of place, discs go out of place, just from her sitting there, that's a very low level activity. So if you go anything beyond low level activity, the body, and you believe this for 35 years, the body's already on high alert. So her body is always on high alert. So her beliefs and her confidence way low. So she always hurt herself with deadlifts. And then in December, she's like, I don't want to do deadlifts again because they hurt my back. And this is when I took her through all of this. And what I wanted her to understand was it's more than just your back. It's more than just your structure. Because what she wanted was she wanted new breathing exercises. Because she thought because of the structure, because of her position, that's why she was hurting herself with the deadlifts. But just like the reason you have pain can be influenced by many things, so are flare-ups. And that's what she was experiencing after deadlifts. So I went down the list. And with her, I was a little more aggressive than I ever would be with a client, just because it's hard to work on your family. But I pointed out, she doesn't work on her sleep. Her fitness levels are low because she wasn't consistent. Super stressed. You just opened a second business outside of the state. Grandma just went through hip surgery. You probably don't have any friends. Your beliefs and your confidence about yourself are very low. You do zero cardio. And like, this is the only one you want to work on is the movement options, the breathing exercises, the position, when I think it's more here. And she didn't believe me at first, but now it's July and she just PR'd her deadlift this week. She works on her sleep. She actually has better sleep than me. She meditates twice a day, finally manages her stress, and she is like a different person. So being able to open your client's mind up and having them see their pain beyond their structure, having them stop seeing pain as only a marker of injury and damage, and start really understanding like what pain is and see it for what it is and not freak out. So I will post a picture of this below. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Or if you have any ideas of how as a personal trainer, do you explain pain to your clients? Because it can't just be, oh, you refer the person out, or you just ask their physical therapist or the chiropractor or their MD of how to appropriately manage these people, because sometimes these maladaptive beliefs of only blaming their structure come from the medical community. And sometimes as a personal trainer, you're kind of left alone without any help unless you can find a good physical therapist that promotes the same idea, because not everybody sees it this way. So as a personal trainer, here are some ways, or this is a way that you can educate your client, because if you can make them see beyond their structure, you are probably going to be able to progress that client a lot better.